You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Unsealed, the official podcast of Wings of the Eagle. I'm Christopher. Good day to you. We're in the midst of summer, certainly in my country right now. Everybody's really hot. And hopefully you can take a chill pill, hang out with us for a few minutes here today. And of course, your input is welcome. If you're watching or listening live, please go ahead and type in your question or comment or concern or what have you. Whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or the X platform, or even Instagram. It's always exciting. I guess Instagram works. I never get any feedback from it, but whatever. We are here for you, and if you're just listening on audio after the fact, we love you as well. Please see our Patreon page, patreon.com/Wings of the Eagle. There are several ways to support what we do here on the podcast, even if it's an open-ended giving of your choice, or to get something in return like the aviary, which is you can see below. You can find out all about that and the ways you can support us. Everything Wings of the Eagle does, not just this podcast called Unsealed, but a book. If you're a Christian, please pray for that. It's going to be a pretty good slog here to get that finished, but I think we're supposed to do it. So help us do it. Okay. Praise God. And if you are not a believer in Jesus the Messiah, I encourage you to do that today. You don't know if you're going to wake up tomorrow. That's why. Get repented up. Holy Spirit will be there for you and live a new life. Be reborn, born again. Okay. However, tonight, and I was going to talk about something different until like just a few, like within the hour. Because tonight we have to be honest with you, a very unappealing, must-miss TV debate between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, our current president and our former one. And unfortunately, thank you, Bri. Appreciate you, brother. He's sharing on Facebook from YouTube. Bless the Lord. Thank you, man. Really appreciate you doing that. Really, truly. By the way, y'all, please do that. That would be great. But anyway, yeah, so it's a debate. I'm really kind of annoyed, and I'm not going to talk about this today, but it's really a shame that they couldn't get Kennedy or wouldn't allow him on the stage as well, because for goodness sakes, most people are very unexcited about both of these octogenarians losing their minds up there. Even Kennedy's 70, right? Isn't he? And he talks funny. But at least give somebody a choice other than these two ding-dongs. So anyway, with the only several people have asked me, including my own mother, are you gonna watch a debate? I'm like, no. I don't see any point in it. The questions will be nonsense as usual. There'll be talking points. Thank God. Apparently there'll be no live audience there to just be cheerleaders or booers, and they'll actually try to mute the microphones of the guys so they can't just go on and on over their time, which is all good. But for goodness sakes, let Kennedy in these. Anyway, the point is, the only thing at this point that I care about, and mostly because of the question, not even the answers that you would get, because I don't believe any answer you get right now. They're saying what they need to say. They're, especially Donald Trump has been documented liar. It will say literally anything to keep and get power. So doesn't matter what he actually says to this, but the question would be about disclosing. It's a popular word. It's good enough. It's disclosure, which is basically revealing what our government knows about UFOs and all associated, tangential realities based on that, like the real history, like retrieving craft and bodies, and what is up with all that, and why did we do it, and why did we hide it, and as president, technically, I mean, if you want to be legal about it, of course the president can declassify in office, and announce whatever he wants. Of course, once you leave office, you can't do that anymore, or take things with you. Okay, let's just clear that up. But anyways, they can do it tomorrow. Biden can do it tomorrow. Does he seem like he is interested in that? No. Is he even informed about it? Probably not. And I think this is one of the big assumptions that we get very wrong as people who care about this UFO issue and what the government knows, and revealing it, and what's the best way to do that, because we've now had, Congress is kind of involved. Like, some of them are involved, some are not, some are opposed to letting things out. It's a real civil war going on in there, in the Congress. But so that's kind of, that's been happening for a few years, honestly, several years. But now it's been out in the open for about a year now, and nothing much has changed, because there's still everyone in the government, and the special access programs, and the Pentagon, and the intelligence communities, and so forth. They don't want anything to come out, period. So nothing will. Now, the problem is, are presidents informed? The evidence is no, they're not. And there are two modern examples. I'm thinking of two in my brain. One is definitely at the top of my memory, which is Jimmy Carter asking for the full slate of information after he was elected, but before he was sworn in. So this is that lame duck or whatever period, like December 1976. And so he wasn't officially president yet. So it's this whole transition period. Okay, transition, not lame duck. The transition period. And they all, and he's trying to set up his cabinet and whatnot. And the CIA director at this time is a man named George Bush. And yes, the first President Bush, eventually. But he was CIA director. And Carter said, okay, I want, ready for me. I want this, all the UFO info, because Jimmy Carter saw UFO himself, and he was very interested in it. But Mr. Bush apparently told him, unless you promise that I'll be your CIA leader, the answer is no. He really had no legal right to do that. But he did. And President Reagan, after him, also is a famous UFO, had a UFO encounter. And Nancy Reagan as well. Same time. They were together when it happened. Anyways, so Bill Clinton seemed like he was very interested in it, but not interested enough. And that's the closest probably we've ever come is Panetta, right? One of his guys, one of Clinton's staff was actually really trying to do it. He was really trying to get the info, but again, continuously told, you don't need to know, we don't have the access, yada, yada. This is all illegal. You can't say that. I mean, if we're being strictly legal, there's a chain of command. There's a constitutional situation. President's the chief executive. Everything in his branch of government, he's in control over, or he or she has the final say over everything. And the Pentagon is part of the executive branch. And the intelligence community is part of the executive branch. It's not part of Congress. It's not part of the Supreme Court. So president has complete and total authority to know everything. And for him or his secretaries, like Secretary of Defense or whatever, all those cabinet level people who represent the president, they cannot ever be told that they can't access it. But yet they are. So what's going on? Anyway, so the evidence seems to be that even though some are interested and some are not in exposing what's going on, nobody's willing to do it. And they're probably not told much of anything. And I know there's some excitement or confidence or hope that we're going on the word of Donald Trump, which is a bad idea. Always. About when he was in office, and it was brought up by his son one time, and I get maybe one other venue that I forget. But it was not a serious question from a reporter. It was not challenged. He was not asked to produce any evidence or do anything about it. But apparently he said he was told about Roswell and it was very interesting. Oh, that's just about the UAP incident. But what was it? That was Stephanopoulos, I guess, when he's at ABC asked him about, I think, about the pilot seeing these things, and he gave this wishy-washy, crummy, stupid answer. Sorry, about these pilots think they see these things, and I believe that they think they see them, or something like that. Like, what are you talking about? Any hope that anyway, this wishy-washy answer about Roswell, it's very interesting, and people are very interested in it, and it's very and that's when his son said, "Oh, you were told about it, right?" He's like, "Yeah, I was told a little," or something like that. I don't believe any of that. Frankly, even if he was told. Even if he was briefed somehow and he asked, he never showed any care about that subject at all. Kennedy assassination, same thing. He did make sure some extra stuff came out under his watch, but the good stuff never did. Because again, he chickened out. He chickened out. Because somebody told him, "Oh, national security, we won't be trusted the same way again." Well, no kidding. That's because you're hiding it. Everyone knows. But what exactly, you just won't say. And we're just supposed to forget about it and roll over. Even the guy at the top is supposed to roll over. So anyway, the point is, there's no reason to have hope that Donald Trump would release anything. Zero. There's also no hope that Biden would release anything. There really isn't. We've had almost a whole term now with him, and the White House side has done nothing. Zip. In fact, if you want to look at it as a unit with the AARO office and the DOD and the Office of National Intelligence and the National Security Advisor, all those people that would have a voice or a contribution to this topic with the president have all been either totally against it or talking out of both sides of their mouth. But never has it been pushed by anyone in the White House or any one of his representatives or anyone in the DOD or CIA or anything like that. Yes, let's push this out. Let's move the ball. Never. So let's theorize. I don't personally think if everything's just pretty normal. I mean, that hasn't been normal in this country for a little bit here. But let's just say the next election goes off without any major issues. And whoever it is gets in and does nothing because there's no reason to. The status quo, let's move on to something else. I think that's probably the best bet. That's why something else has to be done from underneath. What we've seen the past year, 4 or 5 years, that type of thing only way more. Far more. In fact, to the point of breaking your NDA. Okay, Lou Elizondo. Not to call you out, but anyone who's in that situation, I can't say my NDA, Anyway, I'll do a show about that later, maybe next week. But okay, can I envision a scenario where something would be disclosed? Possibly. Obviously the outside, number one, the scenario that would do it the fastest and whatever would be the outside influence scenario, where it's nothing to do with the president, but he has to respond now because it's out there without him, and our entire government has nothing to do with it. What that means, either another country does it, China or Russia. They're really the only ones with a lot of info that I could tell. Or Great Britain. The Five Eyes, they're not going to go against each other. It's not going to be Canada, Great Britain, Australia, New Zealand, or America. If one doesn't, they all won't do it. But if someone else does it, like an adversary, like China or Russia, who else would even have info? Israel and India? Maybe. There may be the next ones up. But the point is that we know Russia and China have programs to retrieve UFOs, to shoot them or recover them, and to reverse engineer them, just like we do. So it could be one of those two countries. They could force the issue before the election or after, whatever, at some point. They could just say tomorrow, China can come out and say, hey, guys, here's the truth. Here's the proof. America's doing it too. Here's what we got. And here's what we know. And here's the proof that America knows. Or whatever. They could do that. Russia could do that. And, I mean, China, maybe just to, they're going to the moon now, China. So they got a lot of money and a lot of hardware and ambition. And nukes. So they could do it. Russia could be, they're losing in Ukraine. They're going through so many soldiers and ammo and money, and their economy's being crippled and all that stuff. So Putin could feel like an animal that he is, dictator, imperial invader. He might just feel back against the wall. I got nothing to lose. I'm going to pull this card out. Anyway, so it could be Russia or China. Could do it first. Or, of course, if there is one or more, but some intelligence or the thing behind the UFO issue, whatever it is, you think it's aliens, you think it's something else, whatever it is, they make the move. It makes the move. It does the stereotypical 1,000 flying saucers over Washington, D.C. and lands on the White House lawn type of thing. Something like that. Something you can't deny. It's on the world's TVs. They're not obfuscating. Everyone can see it. There's no denying it anymore. This is real, and they're whatever they are. They're here, and here we go. That could happen. That's all outside. Now we have to respond. The president's like, yeah, we actually kind of knew about that, and here's why we didn't tell you or whatever. That could force the issue. But if it's not that, if it's not the phenomenon itself, and if it's not Russia or China, again, it would have to be like backed into a corner, like Putin would be, only with Joe Biden. Joe Biden, if they his campaign thinks they're going to lose, if it's coming up to October, the polls don't look good. Maybe they're the same as now. Maybe they're worse. Maybe there's some event. Maybe he makes another incredible, mental mistake or flub, or has some kind of medical episode. It could be coming into November with seriously down in the polls, and now they got to get desperate. And we could do this. We've got this in the quiver. This could be our last hope of, saying, yes, we're in control, produce the confidence, or the try to restore trust in government or whatever, by being the first people in the first administration in 80 years to tell you the truth about the UFO thing and what we've done and what we've covered up, and we're going to admit to our sins, right? We're going to admit to our cover-ups and crimes, the whole thing. Maybe not all that, but it's kind of hard to believe, actually. Admitting fault in anything is very hard to believe. But here's what we know. Here's what we recovered. This is true. These are the contractors working with us, or whatever, something like that. Yeah, it's possible. I don't know how likely. But if they're down in the polls by 20 points and it's October, they might. In fact, that's probably your best chance, in my opinion, for it to happen with either one of these dudes. Honestly, if Kennedy was part of this, and if Joe Biden goes really down in the polls, maybe Trump doesn't pick up those votes. Maybe Kennedy does. And now we've got a real crisis, right? And what if he would say, as a kicker, to push him over the top, maybe give them actually a chance to win or to be competitive in these other states, some of these states that would really make it interesting. Maybe he would say, I pledge, even though he hasn't been elected to anything yet, so I can't say he's a liar about promises. We know the other guys wouldn't mean it, but it's possible he could say, I swear, this is, if I'm elected, if you elect me, I will demand and release everything about UFOs. He has said that. I mean, just being honest, he has said he would do that. Is it just to get a little bump in the polls? Possibly, yeah. But does he really mean it? He might. By the way, this is Unsealed, the official podcast of Wings of the Eagle. Christopher is me. Find me on X at Manti4, Mantei4. Go to patreon.com/Wings of the Eagle to support us, or just give whatever you can because you love what we do. And this is totally funded by you. There's no big anything behind us whatsoever, guys. Nothing. It's just individuals. That's it. So if you want to be on the team, be one of our little eagles out there, eaglets, let's do it. Okay. Would love to partner with you. Anyways, so if Kennedy doesn't get involved, if he doesn't, for some reason bring it up, and Biden doesn't see the need to bring it up, I don't think it'll ever come up. Trump has, again, just based on his previous comments about it, it seems like he's not serious. Again, with the the caveat that if things are going really bad, or if he doesn't know what else to do and he's not, getting over the hump where he needs to get as far as votes. Again, we're coming up to October now, and he's lagging and nothing's working, and he's pulled out all the insults and all the outrageousness, and nothing's working. MAGA is tapped out. There's no more to give. He might, again, use this just for, to push him over the top. Again, I have no confidence that he would actually do it if he won because of that. But he's totally so loose cannon minded, like he doesn't care about anything except his power, right? So, well, if he sees, look, I'm almost 80, if I lose this, I'm probably go to jail. And so I got to do whatever I can do to not have that. So he might just blurb what he knows, whatever that is. And I don't think it would be much. But let's say he does have some small, he was briefed one time or whatever, and he got some nugget of information that we don't know, that is classified. And he unclassifies it just by saying it, because he said that before, right? I don't care if I leave office. It's still unclassified if I say so. He's used this defense in this documents case. So, okay, fine. That's what you believe. Go for it. And I just blab all the classified stuff that you know about UFOs. That's possible. I'm not really probable. I would not bet anything on that. But maybe, again, it's desperation is a common theme. Desperation would be what does it, what drives it home. It's not interest in the subject. It's not national security. It's not being forthright with the American people. It's not gaining their trust. It's not being open and honest in government. None of that matters. They don't care about that. They care about winning. And so desperation of not winning will drive it. And you all have to understand that. And I'm saying that as a political person, okay? Again, I've been in politics and grassroots organization and running campaigns I've been on presidential campaigns, U.S. Senate, ran the campaign for U.S. Senate. Not me personally, I ran the campaign for the candidate. But the point is, I know a little bit of what I'm saying. I know what energizes politicians, especially those running for national office. And people's, little interests and side issues, and that it is not going to do it. And the UFOs are a side issue. They're not a major issue. So unless and until they become one, they will not care. They don't care what's going on, how illegal it is, what they know or don't know, how much trust the people have. They don't care. Do I have anything else on this to say? Probably not. So that's my honest take on it. Again, desperation would drive it. I don't see any other scenario. I don't think if Biden gets reelected, he's all of a sudden going to open up the UFO files. Again, there's no evidence of that in his administration. There's no appetite for it. Don't see it. And again, unless Trump is going to lose votes and lose elections, he's not going to do it either. So Kennedy as an individual maybe is your best chance. I don't see that happening. Some another country to do it, or the UFO phenomenon itself forces the issue. Those are your scenarios. Okay. So I've done my part. I have gone on X and tagged CNN and Jake Tapper and Dana Bash, who are doing the debate tonight, and told them this is the only thing I care about. Honestly, I've heard all the answers before. You're not going to break any new ground or get any new voters from anything you ask or anything they say. They're just going to look worse. So I'm not interested. But the UFO issue, I would be. So ask that, CNN. That's my part. If you're interested, you go do the same thing right now. Because the debate is in like 7 hours. It is about 1:33 p.m. Eastern time on Thursday, June 27th, 2024. This is the Unsealed podcast from Wings of the Eagle. So let's get to your questions. If you have any question, comments, concerns, or what have you, please say it. I really wish you would chime in because I see you out there. I see you watching. I really do. I don't see you personally, but I see the numbers of folks who are watching live. So let's hear it. Come on, don't be shy. This is your time as well. Bond Servant, who is always good for questions and opinions, is chiming in here. So let's check out what she's got to say. I'm not watching Biden is like watching elder abuse. I heard CNN is going to do a 15-second delay. Well, yeah, like I said earlier, it's like cutting off mics or delay. It's needed because it's not good. You say Trump is not interested. Is it possible these past presidents like Carter, Clinton, could they have been threatened like physically somehow? Yes. Yes, it's possible. Oh, do I see how, like a person who has the reins of power, maybe after they get out of office, they're threatened? Definitely, I could see it more. But while they're there, yes, it's possible. Is it likely? No. Because they played a good little boys when they were there, when they could have done something about it. I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Ross Coulthart has said and has brought up that he says he has been told, and I love Ross. He's one of the only him and I mean, they're not the only ones, but the ones who were really on this, Ross and Chris Sharp of the out of the UK. Isn't it amazing? It's not the American reporters that are doing anything. The actual journalism is being done by the UK and Australia. Anyways, Ross has said that he has been told that Trump was threatened, and that's why he won't say. Again, like, okay, if that's true, I guess, and I'm not saying it is. It seems kind of fishy, honestly, because there's way easier ways to not talk. But if he was, then this whole facade about an alpha male tough guy Donald Trump is a lie, because he's backing down because some government, types are threatening him. That just seems like he would not be okay with that, right? It would seem, if this tough guy thing has any truth to it, like he doesn't care what anyone says and he's going to do what he wants, I would think it would go very badly if he was threatened, right? He would fire everyone, right? Fire everyone, and get somebody in here who will do what I tell him and not threaten me. I'm the president of the United States. How dare you? Like, that's the kind of answer I would expect from any of these guys, really, but especially, one who presents himself in that as this, alpha male, and that's what he's all about. So it's possible. I really don't think I believe it, but if I were threatened, I would expose it. Toot sweet. Yeah, we know you would. Unfortunately, the moral clarity and spiritual makeup of bondservant is not in the Oval Office as far in my lifetime. I was born, it was Gerald Ford, and Gerald Ford was because one of the slimiest people ever to live, Richard Nixon, resigned because he was about to be convicted. So ever since then, it's already more. Reagan seemed to be pretty good. As far as a moral, leader, wanted to do the right thing, really was trying to do that and not caring about what anyone else was saying, or trying to threaten him in some way. I don't think he would go there. But then again, he was shot, wasn't he? Maybe they tried to Kennedy him and it just didn't work. But of course, he wasn't the same after that mentally either. You want to talk about Joe Biden not being mentally there? Ronald Reagan in the second term was not mentally there. Sorry. And probably the gunshot didn't help. But anyway, George W. Bush also seemed like a basically decent person who cared and was moral. So those types of guys, I don't think would be too good with being threatened either. But other than those two, maybe it'll work with the rest of them. Maybe it would. Here we go. A little confrontational. That's okay. Honestly, brother, I think you are a bit off about Trump. In what way? I'm not a Trumper, but I'm getting annoyed by similar talk. I disagree with your intensity. What intense? He's an antichrist. I'm never going to vote for him. I'm not going to tell anyone else to vote for him. I think it's a giant mistake. And worse, I mean, I don't have a problem with being honest. I'm not voting for either one. Neither should you. As a Christian, definitely not. That's all it is. I mean, he's documented to be not a truth teller, not a Christian, is okay with abortion. I mean, you name it. Other than being really gung-ho on being a dictator and controlling the military of the United States, I don't know what he's about. other than personal power. And yes, Joe Biden should be on the retirement home. Literally. Yes, he should be in a rocking chair. There's no reason to belabor that. Just because I can tell the truth about both guys, can I? It's the truth. I mean, again, it's not like I've come to this conclusion lately. I've been consistent about it since 2016. 1,000% consistent. 8 years straight now. Don't vote for Antichrist. Don't vote for people who are immoral and don't care about it. Anyway. So yeah, that's where we're at. Let's keep it on track here with disclosure. I just don't see it. If I had to bet on it, I would say nope, not going to happen. If there's any chance of it happening, other than the outside influences, like we said, unless it's Russia or China or the UAPs themselves, if none of that happens before November, and it's just these two old fools, excuse me, God forgive me, but they're both disqualified from serving again. But if it's just them, unless they're desperate, 1,000% desperate to address it, to help themselves win, I don't think they will. And it would be very helpful for debate and actual journalism and the debate hosts starting tonight to actually do their darn job and address. We got the Senator Chuck Schumer thing from just a couple of months ago. He's the most powerful senator in America. He's the second most powerful person in America, period. And he's talking about UAPs and about special access programs and how we're covering it up and how it needs to be the NHI, non-human intelligence, and all this stuff is being covered up, and we need to expose it to Congress. He's saying that. But nobody cares. Right? The media is just... It's not Republican or Democrat, so I can't run with it. It doesn't make anyone look bad, so let's not run it. I'm not going to look into that stuff. But you know why? Because my national security friends will stop talking to me. Because my Pentagon contacts and my CIA and NSA contacts will wash up and they won't talk to me anymore. Oh. When you actually do your journalism thing. So, do your journalism thing, CNN. I know it's a long shot. It's a Hail Mary pass, okay? I get it. But CNN, do your job. Ask them tonight and do not accept a chuckling, derisive, dismissive answer. Get a real answer. Because a lot of us actually do care. From all sides of the aisle. So that's my final word on that. Okay, remember, this is Unsealed, the official podcast of Wings of the Eagle. Love to have your support. Please do so. Oh, wait, one more. Bond Server says, do you think Grush, meaning David Grush, might do it anyway if the nation was in real danger? In other words, what? Break his NDAs? And reveal everything he knows to the public? I assume that's what you mean. He might. She says, yeah. Maybe. He has kind of walked up to that line where, like, he felt my summary personal 2 cents on this, on David Grush, is I pretty much listened to everything he said. And the consistent message seems to be, I spoke out because no one else would. I took it upon myself. I'll fall on the sword, all that stuff. Fine. He's willing to do that. To say the quiet part out loud, as it were. Okay. Lou Elizondo is kind of in the same boat. He doesn't know as much as Grush does, because Grush had not only access across these access programs and across the government, but he was at a higher level. And frankly, he's a genius. I mean, he's a really, really smart guy. And seems calculated. Everything he's doing or not doing is for a reason. Now, I don't know if I would agree with those reasons, but he is calculated in his own mind about exactly what he's saying, what he does not say. So, is there a point where he might just break the NDAs and know he's going to jail, or assume that he's going to jail if he says it? Maybe. And you know what? And it is out of patriotism, right? But him, Elizondo, and him, and Chris Mellon, and several of these, and Carl Nell, and everyone who's been in the government now, who is coming out and speaking out about what they know, even if it's only classified, redacted versions. They're all doing it out of a patriotic, most of them out of a patriotic duty. Like, I love the country, and my country's being hurt. It's not better because of the secrecy; it's worse. And illegal things are happening. Not just not telling Congress, which is definitely illegal and unconstitutional, but you're creating a whole nother government, which is obviously illegal. And that's never, there's no accountability. There's no voting on your leaders. There's no curtailing your money. You're stealing money from the taxpayers, all that stuff. And crimes, those are crimes, but actual street crimes on top of it, like murder, like threatening, like maybe using energy weapons against ourselves, like all kinds of weird stuff, kidnappings, torture, like all that. So all those things could, that's what's motivated him to come out and say, you know what, if no one's going to say it, I guess I'll start. And hopefully we get 10 more of David's. And then, yes, you're going to have to break your NDAs. If they're not going to do it willingly, at some point, you got to just start doing it. I've been reading a book you recommended. I wish y'all would take her advice. It'll be worth your time. Ancient Aliens on the Moon, and the Skinwalker book. Yeah, there's a couple Skinwalker books. And yeah, this thank you. Amazing stuff. It is. At least to half the battle, honestly, guys, is knowing what's actually true or what's actually history. Once we know, can we get a baseline on that? I mean, that's what I'm at, right? That's what I'm working at right now. Like, what actually happened in real time, in the real years, with real people. I don't want theories. I don't want supposition. Like, I can theorize myself. I'm talking about what actually happened, who said it, why, what do we have, what do we not have, what's made up and what's true. What's a cover story and what's a fact. What's a psychological operation and what's just an inconvenient truth. Or whatever. Right? You get what I'm saying. To separate that, just to get a baseline of this happened, Roswell really happened, there was a crash retrieval, bodies were recovered, or something like that. Just let's start there. And then on and on. And oh my gosh, there is actually a program that's all about UFOs and no one can talk about it, otherwise they die. Or threatened with death, or go to Leavenworth and prison forever with no trial. That's where we're at. If that's where we're at, the gloves have got to come off. Non-violence. That's not at all what I'm saying. I'm saying as far as NDAs, what you agreed to not talk about, you might want to reconsider that. Okay. That's it for today, guys. Love you for being here. Thanks for participating, even if you just watched. And thanks for sharing in advance. Please do share this with your networks. I know everyone, their mother's got a podcast nowadays. It would be very helpful for teeny tiny ones like us, for this one to get out there. And yeah, I think we're a little different. Christians who talk about UFOs and don't dismiss them as demonic is rare. In fact, if you're one who agrees with me at all on this, let me know who you are, because it's very lonely. Very lonely. And yes, I would be a guest on your show. Okay, please just reach out to me on the X or on email, Christopher@wingsoftheeagle.com, or whatever. And yes, let's talk about it. I'll be your official subject matter expert on, from a pastor's point of view. Be happy to do it. Okay. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Bondservant. No, we need more people like you for sure. Time we could talk about things. Yeah, we should. We need to. We need to. It's high time to awake from slumber, my friends. And unfortunately, a lot of, whether it be the Christian church or the rest of the world who thinks they're on top of things and awake and not being fooled by anything, you are. This one, things for sure. Okay? All right, guys. Love you. Till next time. This is Wings of the Eagle, Unsealed.